Let's go ahead and work on homework 11B, number 16. Now, after I finish solving for number 16 is the same way you solve for 16, you can solve for number 10. So same process. So if you get stuck at number 10, again, 16, same process. All right, so it says to estimate the mean height mu of male students on your campus, you will measure an SRS of students. You know from government data that the standard deviation of the heights of young men is about 2.8 inches. How large an SRS must you take to reduce the standard deviation of the sample mean to 0.6 inch to 0.6 inch? You may use the four-step process to outline your work. All right. Remember that the standard deviation of the population decreases by a factor of square root of n. So this is the formula, right, for the standard deviation of the sampling distribution. Standard deviation is equal to sigma divided by the square root of n. So we can just identify all of the information that we have. So right here, 2.8 inches is the standard deviation of the population. So that's sigma. And then it asks us to reduce the standard deviation to 0.6. 0.6 being the standard deviation of the sample. So plugging in all that information, the question is saying, what do I need to get? What size n do I need to get so that this equation is equal to 0.6 when you have 2.8 as your sigma? So to solve for the square root of n, we're going to have to use algebra here. And to solve for the sample size n, you're going to have to isolate n. And you isolate n by multiplying both sides of the equation by square root of n. So multiplying both sides with the square root of n will cancel this right here, because this is in the numerator and that's in the denominator. So there you have square root of n times 0.6 is equal to 2.8. Again, to continue to isolate my n, I'm going to have to divide both sides by 0.6. See, notice this whole process is just to make sure n is by itself. So you have square root of n, and this will cancel, right? So you have square root of n is equal to 2.8 divided by 0.6. And then to get rid of the square root, what you need to do, if you remember, is you need to square both sides. Squaring both sides cancels out any roots or square roots that I have. So the square root now cancels with the square. So now n is equal to 2.8 over 0.6. And this whole thing squared. If I take out my calculator, I can solve this pretty easy. So turn this on. 2.8 divided by 0.6 is equal to 4.667, and then square that to the second power. So this is the square, right? To the second power. 21. Remember, n deals with finite whole integers. So 21.7 isn't the answer. You have to round up to the higher number. Because especially here, we're talking about people. You can't have 0.77 of a person. Or yeah, 0.77 of a person. And n describes the amount of people, right? So A, rounding 21.77 up, your answer should be 22. Hope that makes sense.